Certainly have. It's been one of the best attended events, I should say, the last 2 years. And it's a phenomenal racetrack they've put together there, considering it is a temporary circuit on an airport. It's very fast, very grippy, and a lot of fun to drive.
Well, Stevens is down
here. Your driver's not leading anymore, but you still can have an unbelievable finish for this team. What would it mean, Tyler?
Oh, boy, I tell you, I mean, we don't want to jinx ourselves, but it'd be great to see the Sun Media car end up there, somewhere on the podium. Ryan's great in the rain. He's born and raised in Scotland, so we'll see what happens here. But we're excited. We know we can make it to the end on our fuel, so, hold your breath.
You've been talking to him on the radio. How does he sound? Is he pretty composed?
Yeah, he's real calm. He's real cool, I mean, although this is his first Champ Car lead, Ryan's won a lot of races, and so, he's been out there before. Hopefully we can get by Will and take this thing home.
The fingers are crossed down here, guys.
Yeah,
leaders are at 7.
He finished second to Kimi Räikkönen in the 2000 UK Formula Renault Championship, so finishing second to Kimi Räikkönen certainly can't be bad. And he had 6 wins and 19 podium finishes in 3 years of the Atlantic Series. So as we heard down there from Tyler Tadevich, the team manager for the Pacific Coast
leaders are at 9.
no shortage of experience. And looking at the restart with 15 minutes to go, the pace car is in, the green flag is poised. There it is, green, 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 and it is Will Power who leads the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto. Ryan Dalziel in second place. It's Neil Jarney still in third, ahead of Sebastian Bourdais and Justin Wilson. And out to the inside of Wilson comes Robert Dornbusch, looking to make a move there. Not quite close enough. Good driving from both of those two.
Yeah, that was a low percentage move, Jeremy. I'm not going to lie, with the less grip that you get on that inside concrete patch there, trying to make a move from that far back was not going to end well. But Neil Jarney looking down the inside of Ryan Dalziel for second position. Will Ryan retaliate, try and high-low? He just can't get the power down. No room to maneuver the car in these tricky conditions. And now Sebastian Bourdais is ready to pounce.
And Neil Jarney, we thought he was going to shine in those very treacherous conditions at Mont Tremblant 1 week ago. But when the rain came down there, he was really struggling in that Red Bull PKV car. And he was sliding back down the order rather than working his way forward. But now the boot is on the other foot, and he's made that pass for second place. Neil Jarney, he finished on the podium in Cleveland, wasn't it, a couple of races ago. Here's Justin Wilson down the inside of Sebastian Bourdais.
And that was brilliant. He capitalized. Sebastian had to slow up a little bit through turn 6 behind Ryan Dalziel, getting very close, and Justin, a brilliant move, capitalizing there. And now Robert Dornbusch is right on Sebastian's tail as they head down the front straight.
Yeah, we saw this 1 week ago, didn't we, at Mont Tremblant? Justin Wilson made a pass on Sebastian Bourdais and was in the lead of the race, and then made a mistake and then struggled in the closing stages. But once again, a very brave pass by Justin Wilson. The CCWS car now up into 4th place.
And as we look at him battle the oversteer there, you can see his hands twitching back and forth. Very hard to put the power down. And as you can see from the camera cannot see much. I can promise you this, from the driver's seat, you see even less. That is how difficult these conditions are.
Michelle is standing by with the Oriel Survey down on the pit lane as the drivers scrabble for grip down in turn 3 at the end of Lakeshore Boulevard up through turn 5. There is Ryan Dalziel behind him. Justin Wilson, the CCW car behind him. The 3-time and defending series champion Sebastian Bourdais. Behind Sebastian Bourdais is Robert Dornbusch. There is the Ozjet car, the Muirman's machine, Minardi Team USA of the Dutchman. He won 1 week ago. He was tied on points in the championship coming into this weekend. He's lost a couple of points already because Sebastian Bourdais was fastest qualifying berth the first 2 days of qualifying. So Bourdais right now has a 2-point championship lead, but if Dornbusch can get past him now, maybe he can reduce that deficit.
I know, as I mentioned earlier, Sebastian Bourdais massively sideways. This could be an opportunity for Dornbusch. I was speaking to Paul Stoddard before the race. He was praying for rain for his drivers, and he's going to look for it. Not quite close enough to get it done, but this is the championship battle happening on track.
It is. There's a 2-point margin swing either way, depending on which guy finishes ahead of the other one. However, Sebastian Bourdais has set the fastest lap of the race. He did it way back on lap 34. We're now on lap 83 here in Toronto.
63, is it not? Sorry.
63?
Lap 64 now. Actually, we're on 63 laps in the books, on lap 64. And this is just a really good battle on track.
Yeah, it's difficult to read the scoring system there, but it's 12 minutes to go, so there's certainly plenty of time to make a move. And by now, the drivers are beginning to suss out these lines. Look at that very wide line taken by Sebastian Bourdais, but look at the lead that Will Power has turned out.
Ryan's made a mistake. Now, we saw him get close to that happening earlier in the race. it looks like he may have gotten away with it. I didn't see any initial suspension damage. We're going to have to see if it affects the handling of his car at all. Obviously, though, that's not an ideal situation for Ryan in a podium position right now.
Right up very close to the edge of that wall is not really the racing line. Let's go down to Michelle.
Oriel, I know that you thought that the number 7 car in the 7th race of the season was going to be good luck, but not the case today. What happened?
It definitely looked that way for the first third of the race. I mean, car was awesome. I mean, I have to thank the whole crew. I mean, we worked really hard. The last 3 races, Paul won Cleveland, but we didn't really have the speed. And suddenly, Mont Tremblant, we find some speed. And this weekend, we're so fast from the beginning. And I thought it was our race, but it rained. And I really believe, Bridgestone gave us great tires on the dry, but in the wet I think they're a little too hard, and when we try something, went up on the wall, and that's what happened today.
Interesting words there from Oriel Servia. Most of the other guys seem to be contending fairly well in these conditions, but Oriel it was who made the mistake and paid the price for it. On board here with Justin Wilson, as you were saying, James Hinchcliffe, the view is not very good indeed. That's Ryan Diel ahead of him, and right behind these two, Sebastian Bourdais and Robert Dornbusch. No love lost between that pair as a result of their antics 1 week ago in Mont Tremblant.
Certainly not, but it's this man, Will Power, who's on an absolute charge. Had he not stalled from second on the grid 1 week ago in Tremblant, in these conditions, he may have been competing for the win, but now it's raining in Toronto. He's up front and looking beautiful to take his 2nd win of the season.
Just over 10 minutes to go now in the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto, and Will Power has a commanding lead over Neil Jarni. This is the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. It's for Ryan Diel, Justin Wilson, Sebastian Bourdais, Robert Dornbusch, and they're the 2nd of the Team Australia cars. That is Simon Pagenaud running in 7th place. Behind him and some distance back actually is Bruno Junqueira in 8th place. He slipped back quite a long way. Then Alex Tagliani is our last car running in 9th place. And Tag is a couple of laps down after his earlier incident in turn 3.
The one guy I kind of feel bad for in this situation is Simon Pagenaud. He played a pit strategy when there was an accident on track. He managed to get into the pits before the yellow came out, and had this been a dry racetrack and had there not been another subsequent yellow, he probably would have been one of very few who could have gone to the end. So that would put him at one point in a very good spot to score well here, but it's not played out in his favor. But I must admit, right now it is Ryan Diel who is just impressing me to no end. The young Scotsman in only his first full season of Champ Car competition and probably the trickiest conditions they've seen yet this season. Obviously it was tough in Tremblant, but on a street circuit, penalties are that much more, mistakes have that much more of a penalty with the walls being so close, as Ryan just found out a few laps ago. So he's doing a remarkable job for the PCN team.
Yes, and there is that battle. It's Justin Wilson, CW car, then the McDonald's machine of Sebastian Bourdais. Right behind him is Robert Dornbusch. Behind Robert Dornbusch is Simon Pagenaud. I thought this was going to be Simon Pagenaud's weekend. I must say, it's been quick all the way through, but just things not quite falling his way. He was involved in an incident on the very first lap, had to come in and change the nose. But certainly he's driven a nice race, has Simon Pagenaud, but it's tough to pass here, particularly when your visibility is so much impaired.
And that's the thing. Right now, Ryan Diel sitting in the best position of these drivers because he has no spray from a car in front of him, with Will being as far ahead as he is. Justin Wilson having to deal with that spray. It really inhibits you from making that last little push, getting that last little bit of speed to get by a car. It's just look at the lead that Will Power has pulled out.
Yeah, quite remarkable now. It's almost 6 seconds over Neil Jarni. There comes the Swiss driver for PKV Racing, the Red Bull car in second. Here is Ryan Diel. Right behind Ryan Diel is Justin Wilson and Sebastian Bourdais. Just 8 minutes to go in Toronto. The Canadian Triple Crown, this is the second leg of that series. The best average finishing position will win that award. The team with the best average finishing position will get that award and receive a one-of-a-kind Inuk Suk carvings commissioned from renowned Inuit artist Ohito Ashuna. These tremendous awards are absolutely wonderful. Bourdais, we are hearing, has hit the award. There he is, and it's with Dornbusch. They've collided in turn 3.
Well, look at that.
Wow.
This is going to be an interesting situation post-race, Jeremy. They're in the third turn, and just from what we're seeing, I'm going to assume Dornbos went for a pass that went a little bit awry, and now we see the two championship leaders in the wall, and the man third in the points that these two are fighting with is in the lead of this race. This could have huge implications for the championship.
Wow, couldn't it just? Coming into the weekend, Sébastien Bourdais and Robert Dornbos were tied on 145 points apiece. Will Power was only 16 points behind Sébastien Bourdais on 131. Right now, Will Power, if he can maintain this advantage, will gain 31 points. The best these two guys can hope for is, what, 8th and 9th, which is, look at that, just drilled it, didn't he?
He really did. That was 100% mistake on Dornbos's part. He just went in a little bit too high.
Look at Bourdais waving his hands there in frustration. Here we are on board with Justin Wilson looking backward.
Yeah, just classic.
Looked to me like Bourdais left his brake in a little bit too late there, and I thought Dornbos wasn't a little bit too late, he was a lot too late.
Yeah, it was one of those things where he's just tried to brake a little bit later than Sébastien did to try and gain some time up, but Sébastien had apparently overshot it by a little bit on his own. One more angle, slow motion, so it looks like Sébastien had missed the turn-in by a little bit anyway, but at this point, Robert's already going too fast. They're on a collision course, and the inevitable. I fancy that Sebastian's probably not going to want to shake his hand after this one either, Jeremy.
I think that's going to be 2 weeks in a row. There's a big rivalry developing there, and as you say, it was they're on the podium there, and Robert Dornbos drove absolutely superbly last week in Toronto, in just about everybody's opinion. And you know, even if there was some blocking involved, which nobody saw on any TV monitors, it was still a great drive by Bourdais. He left Sébastien Bourdais at about 1.5 seconds a lap in the closing stages, and still he would not, Sébastien Bourdais would not acknowledge the fact that Dornbos had driven a great race. That was rather sad. He's at least going to limp it back to the pit lane, is Robert Dornbos, so that should enable him to finish ahead of Sébastien Bourdais. So those two are going to be very, very close on the points leaving this event. If he can just complete another lap or two, he will finish one position ahead of Sébastien Bourdais. It looks like they're probably going to be in 8th and 9th places, and an 8th place position is worth 15 points. A win is worth 31, so that's a 16-point margin. Those two are going to be about Cameron Steele.
Driving or paying off and overcoming a little hand slap that Champ Car gave you earlier in the week.
Yeah, it's great to see Will up front. I mean, he deserves to be there. What happened over that penalty was it was just a miscommunication. So we've moved on. Will's doing a great job. Team's doing a fantastic job in the pits. So hopefully we can bring it home in another 5 laps.
We know you never want anybody to crash, but seeing the points leader have a problem there, that's got to give you a little bit of a breath of fresh air for Will, who's looking to move forward.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for Seabass. That's a shame he's in the wall, but you know, it happens to all of us, you know.
Derek Walker, always one with a wry grin on his face, and I think we got a little bit of his humor there.
Yeah, he says he feels very, very sorry. Yes, I'm sure you do, Derek. It's going to be very, very close in the championship stands. There is Robert Dornbos. He has got away from making that pit stop. And let's have a look now at Sébastien Bourdais, just wringing his hands a little bit there. So I think he's maybe done a little bit of damage to that right wrist there, but don't seem too worried about it.
No, he seems to have just jarred it, but you noticed, you know, Dornbos did get back out. He still does have suspension damage. You see the left front, according to you, the driver's right front is skewed out a little bit. It is not. It's called towed out. There's a bent part on that car, but they fit a new wing on. And as you say, Jimmy, if he can just circle around the track for the remaining 3 minutes, then he will finish ahead of Sébastien Bourdais. And you were talking about the points difference between those two positions.
Yeah, indeed. For 7th place, where's he running right now? So look at the positions right now coming into this weekend, and it was 3 wins to 1 for Robert
with
Dornbos.
Minardi, you were speaking to team owner Keith Wiggins. You saw what happened, Michael. Any concerns that Robert might be penalized for that incident?
I certainly hope not. I know that Sébastien was starting to really struggle with his rear tires. And Robert came on the radio and said, I don't know, I think he must have just braked late or early or missed a gear. Just ran right over the poor guy. But it certainly wasn't intentional, I'll guarantee you that. I mean, we're in a points race. We can't afford to take each other out.
If you think there was bad blood last week between Bourdais and Dornbos, well, we'll see what happens this time.
Yeah, you did right, Bill Stevens, and that was Michael Cannon. Yeah, we're back to green flag racing. So it's just a couple of minutes to go, perhaps 2 more laps after this one. A great restart once again from Will Power. And some interesting lines being taken there by Neil Jarney and Ryan Diel and Justin Wilson, now up into 4th place. And the championship standings are going to be incredibly close. On my unofficial reckoning, we're going to have Dorbosch and Power equal, perhaps, on 162 points, and Bourdais on 161 if they finish as they do right now. But there's still 2 minutes to go, and await this race.